Now, the Board of Basketball Ireland issued a hard-hitting statement about the FAI's recent funding from the government and Sport Ireland. I'm delighted to say the Chief Executive of Basketball Ireland, Bernard O'Byrne, is with us this morning to talk to us about it. Bernard, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Maybe we'll start at the very beginning in terms of the issue that Basketball Ireland had back in the middle of the first decade of this century. So around about 2008, Basketball Ireland had their funding withdrawn and ended up being fined. Can you just explain to us what the background to that occurrence was?
Yeah, Basketball Ireland had received grants from the department which essentially were to be spent on capital expenditure on basketball hoops around the country or whatever, and the management at the time instead ploughed that money, or a substantial amount of it, into revenue items such as hiring development officers and whatever. So basically the grants were misspent, but within the game, but still were misspent. So this came to light, and everybody was extremely unhappy, and Basketball Ireland held up their hand. In addition to which, Basketball Ireland were revealed internally to have their own bank debt of 1.2 million. So the total burden, if you like, was of the order of 2.5 million. So the government, the department at the time, initially demanded full repayment of the grant. That was negotiated over time to a substantial fine that was imposed. But crucially, there was a set of consequences to all of that, which clicked in through 2007, 8, 9. Which included the total withdrawal of our international squads, reducing our staff from 27 people to 12, a £500,000 grant that had been given for refurbishment of the National Basketball Arena was withdrawn overnight and never reinstated. And I suppose crucially, we were told that until we cleared our debt situation with the banks, etc., that we would not be allowed back into the capital programme. So it was a huge financial burden, and, you know, I think for quite a few weeks, Basketball Ireland teetered on the brink of extinction. But a rescue plan was put in. I suppose I was part of that. I was brought in 2010. And about a year ago, we were able to declare that we had cleared all our debts. We had turned the ship around, if you like. But it was a really hard period for everybody. So I think, you know, that's the background.
So it started in 2007. That was the first year. So this wasn't...
Yeah, 2007, 2008, yeah.
All right. And so the fines start happening at that point, and then obviously the bust hits. So you find yourselves as a sports organisation not really in a position to raise money from external sources, and then it takes the best part of a decade, from 2010 to 2019, to declare yourselves debt-free.
Correct.
Right, so fairly punitive.
Yeah, punitive, but I would say that, you know, we held our hands up. Our management lacked governance, I should say. We made mistakes, so... You know, in a way, we had a very weak hand to play, and so we played it as best as we could, which actually was quite well, but it all hinged, everything, let's say, that myself and the various boards over the last 10 years have done has hinged on the basketball community putting their hands into their pockets to pay for the international programs, to pay for the reduction of the debt gradually over those 10 years. So it was all on the members, it was all on the clubs to get us out of the hole. So that brings us kind of up to date, where we were horrified to see that for similar situations there is a total double standard here, and how could that happen? In a way, especially since our, you know, the amounts of money we were talking about were minuscule compared to what had happened out in Abbottstown. So I suppose what brought it all to a head as well was we had our cup finals there last weekend out in the arena, so we would have had about 15 or 17,000 people coming through the arena for the 9 finals, and inevitably there was chat both with board members and with myself from the basketball community, and there was a palpable anger at what had happened. And I think on Monday night at our board meeting, we just said, well, are we just going to sit back and just be the quiet boys, quiet, compliant boys in the corner and accept the odd tap in the back for doing a great job? Or are we going to stand up for our community? And that's why we issued the statement yesterday morning.
Why do you think that the FAI received a different hearing from what Basketball Ireland would have received back in 2007?
Well, first of all, let me say that there is no antipathy here on our behalf to the FAI. We compliment their negotiating people or whatever. They've done a great job, and we wish them all the best. I read an article yesterday by somebody, I don't know who it was, who says that successive governments are weak with the strong and strong with the weak, meaning that I think the top three are treated very, very differently to all the other 50 national governing bodies. We can be dictated to, we can be instructed, etc., etc., and we don't have any great cards to play back. Whereas the three big organisations, rightly so because of their numbers and, the finances we're talking about or whatever, they are strong and they have strong lobbying facilities and whatever. So they're completely treated differently. And I think that just is self-evident.
You say it's a double standard, Bernard. At the same time, there is a huge disparity in the finances available to the government in 2007 as opposed to now. But do you think if you were around the clock and the financial crisis hit the FAI in 2007, 2008, 2009, they still would have got a bailout, even though it's not a bailout, despite the government's finances at the time?
Sorry, do I think the FAI would have got a bailout?
If they had their troubles during the financial crash?
I certainly think they wouldn't have been allowed to go to the wall under any circumstances. Neither of the top three, and of course the other two are not in any trouble at all. But I can't see any government or any bank, driving the FAI into liquidation and insolvency and all of that. I think on the day that the scale of debt was revealed, I predicted that there would be a rescue package, and it hasn't taken very long for that to come out. So there's no way I personally or we in Basketball Ireland, or I think nearly any other sport around the country, would advocate that they should have been let go to the wall. They were going to be rescued. The form of the rescue was the only thing that was up for discussion.
What role did Sport Ireland play in the administration of the punishment that you guys had? Was it the department or was it Sport Ireland? Are they interchangeable as far as the conversation that we've been having, or were all the dealings with the Department of Sport at the time?
No, we dealt with everybody, and I suppose the point to make about Sport Ireland, with whom we really have an excellent relationship, and Sport Ireland, I think, will tell you, John Tracy will tell you, that they hold up Basketball Ireland as an example to other national governing bodies about how to do governance properly, about how to turn a bad case into a successful case. So we have no problems with Sport Ireland. They can't give us money that they don't get. Annually they get money from the department, from the government, and then they decide who gets what. And we would say that we've been treated fairly by Sport Ireland, both financially and in terms of resources that they make available to us and training that they make available to our staff. So we haven't got the argument there. The argument is even in the department, you would say it's not the decisions that are made in the department. It's the political decisions that are made, which is why meeting the minister or the junior minister and setting out our case was so important to us. And we couldn't get a meeting for the last 18 months. Again, this is the reason for our statement yesterday. We want an assurance from political parties that when the new government is formed, we simply will be allowed to come into a room and set out our case and know that decision makers are listening to us. If they decide that our arguments are illogical or don't stand up, fair enough.
So hang on,
but
sorry.
We at least want to be listened to.
You were trying to get a meeting with Shane Ross or Brendan Griffin for the last 18 months and you couldn't get one?
Correct.
Why would they, why not?
Well, I'm not the one to ask about that. I have my email chain. The invitations and the requests were acknowledged by their office, and we will get back to you. And silence. Despite a couple of reminders, have you forgotten about this? We just could not get a meeting.
That's remarkable, given how front and centre both of these ministers have been, and Shane Ross has been so vocal about the FAI and how it needed to be saved. It definitely had the air of a minister who would have been looking to hear you out and to hear NGBs out who had those concerns.
Well, look, I'm not going to get personal about this, but I am saying that our first email requesting a meeting was October 2017, a follow-up one in February 2018, and we didn't get to meet either ministers.
Right.
Have you been speaking to other NGBs, Bernard? Have they been in similar situations requesting meetings with Shane Ross or Brendan Griffin, and are they in a similar state of...
I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, really. I do meet the various CEOs. We all have similar problems. I'm not sure that they all have problems about meetings. I don't think there's any reason why we would be singled out as... do not meet Basketball Ireland, but I just don't have any information on that. I'm too busy trying to look after Basketball Ireland, without surveying the rest of the NGBs.
Bernard, there's one last thing. Obviously, people are going to wonder if there is any personal animosity on your part between you and the FAI, given how your relationship with the FAI ended all those years ago. Can you just talk to us a bit about that first?
Well, look, anybody who knows me knows that could not and is not even a shred of truth in that. Born and raised a football person, always have been. I'm still hugely interested in football. Professionally, I'm devoted to basketball now, and I actually love the game. I've grown to love it. But, football is in my blood. I wish them all the best. Some of the people who are around, even around the rescue package, are very, very good friends of mine. So I don't think any football person with any knowledge of the scenario would accuse me of that or suspect that just is not true.
All right, we'll leave it there. Bernard O'Byrne, Chief Executive of Basketball Ireland, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.